Increasing customer loyalty is an ongoing challenge for business owners today, and it's no different for those engaged in commercial cleaning. Are there ways to develop or implement a customer service model to help with this? To discuss this topic, I welcome Jeff Carman, the Director of Building Development with France Building Services. Jeff, welcome to the program. It's great to have you today.
Well, Jeff, it's great to be here. Thanks for inviting me on.
Absolutely. And a great topic we're going to dig into. I do want to mention, Jeff, you're a new face on Straight Talk.
Thank you.
If this
Thank you.
interview goes well, we'll have you back.
That's awesome. Yeah. I hope it goes well.
I'm sure it will, and no pressure. But all joking aside, we need to know who you are, what you do. So set us up. Tell us about Jeff Carman and your companies.
So I work for France Building Services. We're a building services contractor based out of Owensboro, Kentucky, which is Western Kentucky. We serve customers in Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee. We've got around 500 employees. We're a family-owned company, so we're in second and third generation leadership now. Yeah, we've been doing this for about 35 years, and so the company's been around quite a while. I also work for a company called Elite BSC. So Elite BSC is a training and consulting company that kind of grew out of a need of other kind of smaller janitorial companies contacting us and asking us questions. And then ultimately we felt like we could kind of, there was a niche there. And so we created Elite BSC about 5 years ago, and I'm transitioning from France Building Services over into Elite full time. And so I'm married, been married 35 years, have two kids, twins, or I have a boy and a girl. Our daughter lives in Lexington and our son lives in Washington, D.C.
Well, thank you for sharing those details. From your accent, I could tell you're
East
from down
Tennessee.
south a little bit. So beautiful
Right.
country.
It is a beautiful, yes, yes. And I'm from Knoxville and my wife's from Gatlinburg.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And your company's a success. And I would say a lot of that is due to keeping clients, keeping them happy,
Mhm. That's
keeping
right.
them.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
And that's our topic today, customer loyalty. So why don't you share with us some of your initial thoughts on what that
Mhm.
looks like, developing that customer loyalty over the years, what you've done with your company, and some
Mhm.
advice for those watching this episode today.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I've had a bit of before I came to this industry, I'd worked in other industries, and I guess two things it's to me that has kind of emerged as I've thought about loyalty is this. The first one would be this, is that customer loyalty for really any company in any business needs to be the key strategic focus that everything else is built off of. I read a great book last year by a guy named Fred Reichheld, and Fred Reichheld works for Bain and Company, and they're the inventors of the Net Promoter Score. And this book is called Winning on Purpose: The Unbeatable Strategy of Loving on Customers. It's a great, great book. And in this book, he says this: there is one and only one purpose that generates long-term prosperity for businesses and creates value for stakeholders, and that purpose is enriching the lives of customers. And so in this book, he just kind of unpacks this idea that customer loyalty, enriching the lives of customers, really is the North Star, should be the North Star for all companies. And I agree with that. And I would say that there's four things that, I guess, if you will, advantages that fall out of customer loyalty. The first would be that loyal customers tend to want to stay with you longer. And as we know, it's acquiring a customer is much more costly than maintaining a customer. And so customer loyalty is a real advantage in that regard. The second thing I would say about customer loyalty and advantage would be that loyal customers tend to be okay with spending a little bit more money with you. And so what that means in our business is if a customer feels like your daily work is really well, they're more than willing to invite you in to do extra services for their company. And they tend to not worry about the price so much because they know that you'll do a good job. Secondly, along that line is as customers become loyal to you, they want to keep you as a vendor. And so when we come back and say, hey, our team members, we need to raise the wages of our team members and we need to increase your price, most of the time, and what I've discovered is most people are more than willing to do that. The third thing that I would say about loyal customers, a real advantage is they're more than willing to share their experience with others. And so from a business development standpoint, and that's what I did mostly at France, I said, there's no greater tool that I have from a sales standpoint than a list of really happy, loyal customers. I mean, I can talk about a lot of things, but the proof is in the pudding when you hand that list of happy customers there. And then the last thing, and the author in this book unpacks this, is companies who focus on enriching the lives of customers, creating customer loyalty, are a place where people want to work. And so I think there's an added advantage when we in the building services industry focus on creating customer loyalty, creating enriching people's lives of the people that we're doing business with. People are attracted to that and want to work there. My wife works for Chick-fil-A, and they just don't have a difficult time recruiting people to come to work there because of what they do.
The Chick-fil-A company, the my pleasure instead of your welcome company.
That's right. That's right. That's it. That's it. I would tell you this too. Another thing that I guess I've learned as I've been in this business and other businesses is that customer loyalty is earned by creating value. Now, I think a lot of times we think creating value is cleaning really well, or in our industry, cleaning really well, doing site inspections, doing quality inspections. And those are good things, and those are the things that we ought to do, but that's not really what customers value. And I would say, just in the conversations that I've had with customers and prospective customers, there's 2 or 3 themes that emerge in terms of what they truly value. And it kind of goes like this, is when I'm talking to someone, they'll say something like this: I have so much on my plate, I don't have time to deal with the fact that there's no toilet paper in the ladies' restroom. And so I would say they value decreased hassles and increased productivity. And so when we can create systems and processes to do that, I think we win. I think secondly, it's I would call it peace of mind or reduced anxiety. Goes something like this: hey, I just need my cleaning company to come in here and do what they're supposed to every night so that I can go to my kid's ball game and not have to worry whether they're going to show up and do their work. And then lastly, I would say there's this idea of reputational assurance. And that goes like this. And I've had this conversation with people before, and they say, especially say in a medical industry, they'll say, hey, the doctors and nurses here expect this place to be clean. And when it's not, that's a reflection on my decision making, because I'm the person who asked that company to come in here. And so when we can do the kinds of things that solve those problems, man, just loyalty just comes out of that.
What I really value is when you touched on what people really want out of a cleaning company. Yeah. When you hire a company to do anything, whether it's a plumber, electrician, or cleaning, you expect the baseline is going to happen. What they say they're going to do is going to happen for you. And you go above and beyond that, you get that loyalty factor, which I know people like to support those that they value.
That's right. That's right. And everybody who buys a good or a service is trying to solve a problem. Mm-hmm. And there's lots of things that go into solving problems. But when you can focus on that deeper value is when you really begin to generate loyalty.
With all this being said and all this being recognized, I think everyone's going to agree. I can imagine all those watching you when you presented that, nodding their heads. Yeah, we need to do that. Yeah. Then why don't we do it? What are the challenges that companies face today? Where's the breakdown?
Yeah, I would call it, in our industry, we could call it whatever we want to. Let's collectively call it the whirlwind. And the whirlwind is this. It's things like team member demands or team member turnover. We've got a lot of turnover in our industry. And so when you're turning a staff that often, it can really it's easy to take your eye off the ball of creating customer loyalty. And so I would say that just the team member demands. I would say there's another one. It's misaligned compensation structures. When we align our compensation structures or our extra compensation structure mostly on financial targets and not on customer loyalty targets, I think we can get some behaviors out of our managers that don't drive towards customer loyalty. And then I think the other is just competition. In our industry, there's a low barrier to entry. You can have just a few dollars together and you've got a cleaning company. And so we're all the time, there's so many companies in our industry, we're all trying to get the same business. And so a competitor can come in and kind of undercut you on price. And so I think all of those things collectively together, we can spend all of our time focusing on those things and not focusing on how are we going to deliver value to the customer. I think those are the key things.
Agreed. Agreed. It's sad to see the business owners want a certain thing, but they fail to see how to get there and maintain it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, when we talk about where are we failing, where is companies are in our industry or really kind of any industry failing in this regard? And I think kind of right off the bat, I think we fail when we miss connecting our mission and our values to customer loyalty. So at France Building Services, our mission is to love and serve well. So what does that look like, loving and serving a customer well as it relates to what the customer values? I think we also fail when we create processes and systems that aren't necessarily linked to loyalty. And so what I mean by that is putting extra things on our field managers and our cleaners to do that don't actually lead toward customer loyalty. And then I think the other one is we create a lot of KPIs and targets in our industry, and most of them are around financial targets and employee turnover targets. But I don't hear a lot of people talking about KPIs that are around customer loyalty and customer retention, engaging and measuring customer satisfaction on a deeper level. I
Mhm.
think if I had to kind of say what are the things that I see it in our own company. Those are the things that emerge.
A lot of what you touch on, Jeff, is about customer service, how we treat people, the interaction, the building that relationship.
Mhm.
And you touched also a little bit about tracking or measuring things. Can you talk about technology? What are some of your favorite ways to use technology to automate some of this customer loyalty and this discussion we're having?
Yeah, yeah. And I'll be honest, as a company, and I think really as an industry, we're just kind of starting to dip our feet in the water a little bit with that right now. Again, I think part of it is this whirlwind doesn't, we're working in our business and not on our business. And so some of these technologies are just kind of emerging. And so one of the things that we're working on is, for lack of a better word, a centralized collection point for customers. And when I say customers, if I'm working in a building, there's might be 500 customers in there because there's 500 building users, is creating a system whereby uh, people in the building can submit requests or issues directly to us. And so when you think about increasing productivity, that value element, if we can get people in the building to send those issues directly to us so that we can go out there and solve those issues and then report back to that contact and say, hey, we had 25 issues that came our way and here's how we solved them. I think that technology, and there's others in our industry that are doing it with a QR code, with a text message. So I think that's some technology that's really gonna help us all. And then I think this Net Promoter Score or other types of scoring systems. We implemented Net Promoter Score last year, and I think we've had pretty good success with it. Again, I would tell you, in the whirlwind of what's happened here in our company, we haven't been as consistent as we need to be. And so I think those are two, just a little bit of technology that we're starting to bring into play to help with loyalty.
I love how you said a building could have 500 people. Those 500 are customers.
That's right.
What a
It
great way
is.
to look at it.
It is. It is. So we've got to please, and that's the challenge of our business. There's a lot of eyes in the building and a lot of people to please, and so we want to figure out a way to really please all of them if we can.
Right. Because I imagine some companies focus on the person who's going to give them the contract, make them happy. But if you look at it holistically, everyone
That's
in the
right.
building as your customer
Yeah.
definitely would impact what you deliver.
That's right. And the benefit of gathering that data is what we can do is we can spot trends. And so we can say, hey, here, if we're getting this same complaint or issue from multiple buildings, and it's a way that we can train our team, and maybe we purchase a different piece of equipment or another chemical that might solve that problem.
Those watching our program today, Jeff, business owners, high-level
Mhm.
managers, they care about customer loyalty. They get it.
Yep.
Not everyone maybe in a company does. The technicians, the cleaners out there doing the work. Now, you
That's right.
talked about paying more. We know that there's incentives.
Right.
what is something unique you might share to motivate your team to engage and support a customer loyalty model?
I think this is a challenge, and we've talked about this a lot in our company. How do you press culture all the way down to the end cleaner? We've talked about. My wife and I talk about that a lot. How do you do that? And I think first and foremost is you talk about it a lot. And I know that seems really simple, and maybe just, but I think it's any opportunity that we have when we're in front of our team that we would share that we are about loving and serving customers, and here's how we want to that how your job impacts that. I think that can make somebody I think that makes a difference in people's lives. And so I think first of all we need to saturate our field managers with that, so that then they go down to the end cleaner. I think the second thing that we can do is we can take customer feedback and bring that back to our team, especially things that are encouraging. I think certainly we need the constructive feedback to coach our team. But gosh, if a customer gives us a good score on a customer back or on a survey and gives us some comments, bringing that back to the team is just, it just makes a world of difference. And so those are two things that I think that would probably have more impact than other things down to that end cleaner.
Yeah, I agree. Those are good thoughts.
Yeah.
Let's wrap up with this question. Some advice from Jeff. If a company wasn't where it wanted to be with customer loyalty and retention, what are some specific tips or strategies you might share that are low-hanging fruit? You've talked about a lot of things we can do, but if you were to pick your top couple, you can do this now, what would they be?
Yeah, I would say this, and I would engage my field managers, my account managers, my area managers. I would gather some feedback from customers, just honest feedback. Go talk to your customers, give them a set of questions to kind of drag some things out. I think that's number one. I think number two is to create a list of your customers and begin to develop customer tiers, because I think that's important too. There's certainly customers who generate more revenue, more profit for your company, and to kind of develop tiers of customers. And then third, I would start just building a model. And this is bringing in your field leaders and your key leaders and say, hey, let's build a customer service model that's built around fulfilling our promise, responding to issues and requests that customers have, and then thinking about things that they need before they ever think they need them, kind of that proactivity. So just start building out and writing out a service model based on those things. When you're developing this model, bring in the field managers and get their input. There's nothing worse than key leadership rolling something out that hadn't gotten their feedback. I think that's number one. And then number two is don't wait until your system is perfect. I think that the saying goes, perfection is the enemy of done. Start, implement, adjust. It doesn't have to be perfect before you roll it out.